Welcome to Outback Outdoors. Make sure you like, subscribe, and click the alert to stay up to date on all our new videos.
You know, I'm relatively green to all this. I've been bow hunting for 5 years. Where I grew up in Texas, the only thing that you can really shoot is something with wings. So about as long ago when I started coming here is when I started getting into archery. It was a trifecta year, then me. So this is the 6th time I've been out here.
Yeah. Let's put this down so you can get up in there, little buddy. Oh, okay.
Quick backstory, Quentin introduced me to Trevin about 7 years ago, and I did some video work for Q, and he's like, hey, I know this guy, he just started a TV show, you should get in contact with him. And I emailed Trevin, and literally like the next month went to film school, and the next month was in full production, and it's been that way for going into the 6th year. And then also the very first place I ever filmed anything, and the very first stalk I ever put an animal, very first bow hunt I was ever around, very first, all of it was a draw just to the east of here, about a mile on this property. And this was one of those hunts I told Trev a long time ago. I'm like, you will never put another cameraman on this hunt. I'm going for sure no matter what. But so that means a lot to me, that, you know, from the beginning and how all this connection, like this friendship is like what ties us together. And another thing, I wanted to, and I said this last year to Tanner, I said it multiple times probably to him, and that Q's invited me out here on his place and let me come out here. And the last thing I want to do is wound an animal, lose an animal, or, you know, I want to take a good representation of of whatever I'm hunting and like be smart and make sure that, you know, that I'm responsible for that. But it's been fun, and it's I said this before, but it's like, the learning curve is, I cut the corner big time. I mean, I have so many great resources and people to ask questions, and, you know, I can get more than enough opinions on how to do stuff with all the people that we're friends with. And so things that I feel like would have taken me a lot of time to figure out, to tweak, like every year I feel like I'm making a bigger leap as far as my knowledge on bows and how everything works, and all our discussions we've had. Sean, Great House with Hamsky, set my bow up a few times, and that I would just sit there and just question after question. I just fire him off. You can just pick, you know, he's great at what he does, and he's like me, he's like real meticulous about every little thing. The first year, I missed a whitetail, ducked my string. Dude, they talk about ducking. The next night, I missed that mule deer, and I just got way too jacked. I never shot a mule deer, still have it, and so y'all said mule deer come in the field, and it all kind of unraveled, and I just straight missed. Like, I don't want to do something, I don't want to give myself like a fear, like being so new to it. Like, I don't want to shoot an animal bad, because I'm so early into it that I feel then that's going to play in my head. I think I'd rather shoot a lot of animals and do really good shots, and then when I do have a mess up, it doesn't affect me as much as far as like down the line on, you know, and how my mind is playing tricks on me, like target panic. I don't want to get into if I shoot him bad and we have a horrible day and I'm beating myself up, and the next one that walks out next year, that's the first thing that's going to come to my mind is that deer and how I did that, and I think that would affect me. Sneak up. They're actually probably in a pretty good spot. But we have 800 antelope between us and them. Well, we spent the first morning here in Wyoming on top of this knob that we always sit at. We were staying here to watch a couple of bucks. They've all disappeared since then. So me and Tanner, I think, are going to go around, kind of work down this one ridge line where Trev shot his buck last year. Pretty big bedding area. There's a big two point that went into that this morning that I'll gladly be happy with. 19 yards. 19 yards. How did he not hear us right here? That sounded like a freaking cattle coming through that. He like literally waited till I turned my back and then bounced out of there. What a jerk. I'm a jerk. Let's go eat something. I'm hungry.
Hey, I'm Trevin Stoltzfus. Welcome to today's Wasp Tech Talk. I'm here with Lane Walter. Today, let's go through our setup. Season's right around the corner. We're gonna show you what we have and how we get ready for hunting season.
Let's start with our arrows. I'm shooting a 350 spine VAP TKO from Victory. I really like the smaller diameter. It picks up a lot less wind when you're shooting in windy conditions. And then up front, I'm shooting a 35 grain outsert with a 100 grain tip so that I have more weight up front for my front of center.
And for me, I'm shooting the Gold Tip Hunter Pro 100 grain tip, but like you, I actually do have 30 grains of weight behind the insert. Lane, talk me through your setup.
So I'm shooting a Hoyt RX1 Carbon Ultra. It's at 73 pounds and a 29-inch draw. And then for the rest, I'm shooting the Hamskea Hybrid Hunter Pro.
I'm also shooting the Hoyt RX1, but mine is the shorter axle turbo. I'm at 68 pounds with a draw length about 27 and a half. This gives you a good base of what we're shooting as you maybe look at your equipment, and that way you have a baseline as you start to get your setup ready for hunting season. For this and more information that can help you be successful in the field, visit wasparchery.com and fling the sting. This morning we get up, but Dustin, you had how many sets of eyes at your disposal this morning? You had some spotters now, didn't you?
Yeah, too many. Yeah, no, everyone was all pulling for me, and we went out this morning and right away, I mean, as soon as we started glassing, we saw a group of mule deer heading out to a bedding area we know, and so me and Tanner worked our way down in there and kind of got set up. The bucks started coming down, and there's this big 2x mule deer that...
Big. Yeah, big old, he's got pot belly and a big old knotty chest and
so
sway back.
We're all set up that way. I have everything, every bush in that area arranged. I know what everything is. And then about that same time, Tanner's like, they're right behind us. And so we had to switch to the right. Of course, he's the first thing out. I didn't get a doe. I didn't get something else to range and get ready to come to draw. So I had to wait for him to walk out into that opening. And he does, and I get a range on him, and it's like, it goes like 57, 58. 59, he's just walking slowly, quartering away, walking away. And he stops, and when he stops, I put the rangefinder down, he catches me, and he's staring dead on. So at this point, I have my release clipped on, but I can't come to draw because he's just staring me down. And the buck was going in the willows, and he got his head in the willows, and Tanner stopped him, and he stood there right there. I was all over the place at first, and then I got my pin settled, and it was 60 yards. And there's a willow, and bad scenarios were going through my head. It's like, I know what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off where I need to be because the willow's pretty tight right there, hitting back. Literally, in all that, 2 seconds that happened, yeah. I saw this whole scenario of this deer, I just pictured him running, over the hill, shot in the butt, and me feeling like crap and all that. And about the time I told myself I wasn't going to do it, he took off. I settled, my pin was settled, and I'm like, it's 62-ish, and I'm fine, and then I start questioning that willow, and I'm like, it's gonna be a back shot. I'm gonna be back for sure. And then I was like, about the time I was like, my mind was doing this.
Just like waves upon the cliffs along the ocean. Time goes by until the water changes rock to beaches made of sand. And this old heart can take a beating just like Mother Nature planned. But I just hope it isn't more than I can stand. And the cold wind blows, the lightning fills the sky and the thunder rolls. Her memory surrounds me
We're doing a little bit of a tour of the property, and we found this really old buck, 3x, and he's down on the edge of some willows. We're gonna give it a little shot here. Very good. Meh, meh. No. Too thick. Yeah, so like the sage comes out of the east and breaks off into this creek, this sand creek, and then where it flattens out in the bottom, there's some sage down there, and we made a little makeshift blind, and then it kind of rises back up again into the alfalfa.
I think I would probably try to stage somewhere up right in here. Okay.
Yeah. I like this because we can actually see deer coming over.
Yeah, and the only problem we had is, see that cliff?
I was tucked up against it.
And we had like 15 pieces of sage, just so it was a pretty good hide, but they had no, I mean, deer were either right on them
Or over here.
or they were too far.
Yeah, we made a makeshift one there, and we bounced it from here to there.
But the problem was, when they were set up there, all the deer funneled here. It was just one of those things where you're guessing.
This is going to be your higher play point right here. There'll be more animals walk right through this, and then we'll be up there here.
Well, me and Tanner are in familiar ground. We spent a lot of time here last year in this sand creek. We just kind of played cat and mouse with some nice bucks, and we're in the wrong spot each time. If we were here, they came across over here, and vice versa. But tonight we came and made a makeshift blind, kind of right in the middle. Trevin saw a lot of activity through here last night. I don't doubt that we're going to see deer. I think we will see a fair share of deer, but we just hope they come in within 60 yards of us. Like I'm still green, so like I don't mind moving, but trying to get in smart spots. Trev's way more aggressive and can think on the fly and make a bunch of decisions a lot quicker than I would be confident doing. And one of my biggest struggles is second guessing my ranging, and it's messed me up a lot in the past. And I'll mark a spot 100 times. I'll know it's this, and a deer walks out to that, and what I do, I pick up my rangefinder again because I'm second guessing it. When Trev on the other side, well, he's done this a long time, and he can, judge your yardage, and you can make those adjustments in your head on the fly and feel confident. And so, like, I don't mind, like, our strategy would be more just to move, get in position, and get some stuff marked instead of, like, spotting and stalking in the middle of thick stuff, and if something pops up, just going off my hip. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Last year, me and Tanner were in that draw, and we went kind of rogue and went straight towards them, last-ditch effort. We had a mule deer come out of nowhere, and he was coming right at us. But from their camera angle and from where they were, it looked like he was like
right
20 yards. And you watch the footage, like Trev's in the back going, why isn't he shooting? Yeah. And he was 90 yards from us. Yeah. But it's just that compression of the background, the foreground, it's misleading. Shoot the left buck if you can. That one. Well, we were right. We were in a good spot. We had 2 little mule deer bucks come by, a little smaller than I wanted to shoot at, and they were right there, 10 yards, didn't care about us. Had a couple of whitetail bucks come by. For the most part, like 80% of the deer that was in this area was in range. But all the big guys just didn't show up tonight. We don't know exactly what happened. So quiet. No wind. We spent most of the afternoon up here on Bonsai Pass and didn't see a whole lot of anything. Some bucks drifted off to the east. We had one little guy come up from the pivot. I wasn't gonna shoot him though, but that was cool. He was, 4 yards away, 5 yards away. For the most part, all the deer stopped moving out of the sage and they're kind of in the alfalfa around the edges. So we're gonna drop down and see if there's something we can make a play on closer to the alfalfa.
Like the nights in Salt Lake City where the snow fell down too soon. The people laughed and howled from...
If you were to say one thing that through this experience, through these 3 years, you have learned, what could you pass on?
I think the biggest thing from the 3 years I've done is like just evaluating the situation you're in and making a smart decision. The best thing that came out of this 3 years is like learning when to not do it, not pull the trigger, and not make a decision that because people are watching or because you feel like you need to or because cameras are rolling or anything. Like regardless of what it is, even if you're by yourself, to make a decision that's been the best thing out of 3 years. Like
You made tough calls on, animals that you probably could have got an arrow in, and you weren't comfortable with it. Maybe wasn't the best shot, and I think it's important to learn how to do that because it pays off in the end.
Yeah.
The one thing I praise you about, Dustin, going across this whole thing, and in the 20-something years that I've been guiding and dealing with archery hunters, rifle hunters, and the like, you bring a discipline to archery that I wished a tremendous amount of archers have. Because you have been put in scenarios in 3 years, you have been put in multiple situations that you have learned from and gained from and said, I will not make that shot, because you are confident that would probably end up in a different situation than what you really wanted it to be. Yeah. And you have brought a discipline about that I wished everyone could gain from and see in that, and I hope they do, and as we move forward and when they see the show and different things that way, because how many times in the past 2 days have you come to full draw on animals, and I applaud that across the board, because that's what every one of us should be doing.
I totally agree.
You ready?
The storm's running through the Midwest like a bandit out on
Oh, dude, they talk about ducking.
nightfall, but all I see is you. And rain's pouring through the window panes and the cracks of this roof. Tea's boiling from the spout of the pot, but all I see is you. 'Cause all I ever see is you.
First mule deer. First Wyoming deer.
First Wyoming deer.
This is worth 3 years. Awesome.
Hey.
Thank you.
Nice job, buddy. That's a great
Absolutely. That means a lot to me that, you know, from the beginning and how all this connection, like this friendship is like what ties us together, and that was the more emotional part for me. Like, okay, we got it done, but I didn't want to come out and disappoint you or anybody else. It's kind of what I wanted. You know, and I think
You've done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
it went well. I'm completely satisfied with how everything ended. To me, I got a great animal, but the way it went down was how I wanted it to go down.
Thanks for watching Outback Outdoors. We encourage you to comment below, and as always, like, subscribe, and click the alert to stay up to date on all our new videos.